Yeah. Well, good morning and welcome to How to Enter the Excellence Awards. I'm Lisa Parrish and I am the judging chairman and producer of the awards program, assisted by my partner in crime, Shane Parrish. And we are here today to help you get through the entry process, which has been streamlined this year. We are going to baby step into the Builder Fusion system for just a bit and then bypass right out of it. So we will not be uploading materials into the system this year, and we'll walk through and talk about that a little bit later. But we are going to go through it and make sure that it's easy and understandable and make your lives very happy. So, so few steps to entering. We like to put it into some nice packages and quadrants. What we say is review all the materials first, get an understanding of what everything is. Enter your entry applications or your nominations online, because what's going to happen is once you enter those, you're going to receive back all of your materials. So review, submit those entries online, and then you can begin your process of assembling your entries, which will give you a great amount of time. Take that, do the first two steps right away, so you give yourself that assembly period, a long period, maybe a couple weeks. And then the final thing is submit those materials. So the important dates you'll need to know for this year, because of the holidays, obviously, and that's why we're doing this today, here in early December, is to talk about when things are due. It's a two-step process this year. The first step is your entry applications need to be submitted into the Builder Fusion site by January 24th. Now your materials are not due to be submitted back in until the 31st of January. Now we actually have a late entry deadline. If you do miss the 24th, or if you find another entry that comes online for an extended entry fee. It goes from $50 to $75 for those paid entries. The judging will be held February 10th through the 13th. Very important date is if you are submitting individual achievement categories for salespeople, community superintendents, purchasing managers, and so forth. We will be doing an interview for those folks, and that will be held on Monday, February 10th. So that's a very important day. Everyone will be interviewed. The written submittal will be a supplement given to the judges prior to the actual interview. So they will not review everything that's on that written statement, but they do like to have some background of who that person is and what they're doing. The finalists will be announced on our website on the 18th of February, and our event date is obviously the big show on March 21st in San Francisco. So the first thing of steps to enter is reviewing those categories and requirements. And for those folks who are in the room, we have provided printed packets of all of the categories and all of the requirements for you, so you have those ready. For those who are not here, who are watching the video, you can download those from the BIA website. They are available. To complete your entry registration process, you're going to want to do that. That is where you'll submit the nomination. It basically asks you some very general information. The name of the project or the person, the location, your information of how to contact you, and if there is for the marketing categories, the payment. So it's very simple. Once you submit that, it will come through, it's triggered into our system, and we will then email you back a full email with all of the information on how to submit your entries, including all of your forms in Word format, so that you can manipulate them, save them, PDF them, and submit them. Just a reminder, the return and completed submittals, they're due by January 31st. So, just going over the category structure for this year, we've broken the categories into two groups. The marketing and design categories have a $50 entry fee for this year, and those are categories 1 through 14. Going through that, we have our what we call our standard marketing categories of logo, brochure, ad campaign, online campaign, social media, website, signage, sales office, landscape, and then of note, we have broken the interior merchandising and architectural design. They are listed as one category, but we are going to be presenting those within square footage range. So even though you're going to submit your category in, or your entry into category 10, it will be put into the subcategory based on its square footage. They will compete based on those sizes.
Do you want to give them the difference between 4 and 5?
Yes, thank you. 4 and 5. Best online campaign and best social media campaign are defined as online campaigns are e-blasts, banner ads, anything that is a pay-per-click type of advertising. So that is the online advertising. The social media is anything that is a blog, Facebook, Twitter, anything that is outbound PR type of advertising or branding. So it's a non-paid advertising campaign. So those are the two differences from that. However, if you do have advertising online, that can all roll up into the best advertising campaign, which would catch it all if you wanted to submit it there. Let's see. And then, of course, our final categories are Community of the Year detached, attached, and Builder of the Year. So those are your, what we call our marketing design categories with the $50 entry fee. $50 per entry.
You don't have any categories for price range of product, do you?
We don't do price range because of the differential between the Silicon Valley and then obviously the Tracy market. So what we like to do is do it based on square footage. However, the judges absolutely 100% take into effect where it is located and what its target market profile is. If it's a 2,000 square foot, single family detached in Sunnyvale versus, Mountain House, they obviously take that into account and look at that buyer profile. That's where the marketing statement comes into play.
And those communities of the year would be toured.
Yes, and then communities of the year, those submittals, we will, the judges will be going out and we will actually be touring those in person, walking through, speaking with the sales agent, and viewing all the models and the model complex. So moving on to our Personal Achievement Award categories. These have no entry fee. They can be submitted by the actual entrant, can be the person who's being submitted. It can be a nominated entry by the person's superior, or it can be nominated by someone in the industry who feels that that person has done an outstanding job. Either way. We include Sales Rookie of the Year. Sales Rookie is defined as someone who has been in new home sales less than 2 years. Prior to that, they may have, they can't have experience in real estate sales. They need to have their license less than 2 years. Sales Professional of the Year, sales team made up of 2 or more, sales or leasing manager, marketing director. Service Provider of the Year is defined as a associate member who is providing a service to the builder members. Contractor or subcontractor of the year, that is defined as, Barbara, I'm going to have you help me on that.
That they are the suppliers, the contractors are on site is
Yes.
the best differential. So anybody that comes on site to do work versus a supplier who provides the product that is then done by the suppliers and subcontractors.
So you might have a framer in the contractor.
Right.
Okay, got it. Then we have a supplier team or individual of the year. That's a little bit different. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. We have customer service representative of the year, purchasing agent or team, options manager or team, builder community superintendent, which is a great category. We love that category. Those building supers they're the heroes. I mean, if they don't get it done, we don't have the houses, we don't have the model complexes. They're some of the best moments of every awards program. The mortgage person, again, very important because they get it done, they get it closed. Builder escrow coordinator, and then community service award, which is new. This is a team who is doing pro bono work, who is giving back to the industry in some manner or some way in some sort of community service effort. So those categories are all there. Each one of these categories has its own distinct form that you'll complete, and it asks you and gives you detailed information on what we're looking for. And we can send those to you early if you need to see them prior to submittal. But they're also defined in the call for entries. We also feature the sales volume award categories. Again, no fee for these. And this is based on sales volume of closed sales through the year, January 1st to December 31st. Simple entry submittal. There is a form to be completed, and that needs to just be completed so that we have the exact number that we need to put on those awards for those outstanding salespeople. So let's talk about our online system. It's a fairly simple way to go through. Most of the folks are familiar with using the Builder Fusion BIA program, and so we're just going to go through that, and we'll talk about how to put forth multiple entries, which we're hoping that everyone will have. Oh, and by the way, if you have any questions at any time, we've passed out our cards. You please call us, pick up the phone. We'll walk you through it. We've literally gone through with entrance and said, okay, here we're going to do it together. We're going to be on the phone and we'll walk through putting through all the entries for you. That's what we're here for. So you can call us at any time. I'll just give you our 800 number now if you'd like to write it down. It's 800-658-2751, and that's Shane or Lisa, and we can absolutely walk through any entries at any time. You're not, as someone that said the other day, oh, we're bothering you. No, please, that's what we're here for. We love it. So at this point, I'm going to jump out of here, and we're going to go through it into the system so that you guys can see it as we're working along. So as you go to the BIA site here, you'll see that you'll log in, and you want to click on the upcoming events into March, because that's when the show is. And you'll see that we have two distinct logins here. One is for marketing categories, and one is for professional achievement categories. They're defined because the marketing categories have a fee, where the professionals don't. So if you're going to go through and submit a marketing category, you'll click on the marketing, and it'll pull up, and you'll scroll down, and you'll see this is the actual, all of the information. If you need to click here to add the category list or more information, it's there. So I want to submit entries. Barbara, remind me where I go. Oh, create entries, pardon me. So this gives me the number of entries so that I can choose the entries that I would like to submit. So if I push 1 here for a logo and start there and click create, it should go in and give me this. It tells me I have $50 entry fee. And it takes me here to this space, which we consider the nomination form, or it's not really it's an application, but it's not the entry form. Okay, there's a different definition of both. The application is just this. It's the application of I want to submit. The entry form you're going to get is in the email from the confirmation, and that's actually the form we call it, basically the team form. That's where we're going to get all the names of all those folks who are going to be receiving credit for that entry. The builder, the marketing director, and any of the associates who are responsible for that, whether it be the architect, interior merchandiser, or ad agency. So as you go through, you'll just put in the nominated, that's your name. The nominated by is your name. That's the contact person where the entry is going to come back to. Okay? Your company, your phone number, your email. Then it's going to ask you to reconfirm the category name, and then you're going to put in the project name. Very important for those categories 10 and 11 for interior merchandising and for architecture. Please make sure that you delineate what the plan name is, because if you just put in, Lone Tree, and then we get 3 lone trees because you're submitting multiple plans, we won't know which one is which. So we want to make sure that we add either the plan name or number. So it would be Lone Tree Plan 1 or Lone Tree, the Mayfair model, whatever it is going to be known as, because that's what we're going to refer back to. And when these entries come through, every entry is then assigned an entry number. It is then referred to as that entry number from that point forward. And so we want to make sure that we don't have any mix-up of floor plans, images, and so forth. And those entry numbers, we're humans. We have a tendency to transpose or get confused. We want to make sure that we can go back and reference it back to that exact category.
Lisa, question.
Yes.
On the category name, do you also note the detached and square footage at that point, or do you guys do that?
You know what? If I believe the system will allow you to at that point put in there that it is architectural under 2000. That's not a problem.
Okay.
If for some reason it doesn't let you, don't worry. On our end, that's the first thing we're going to look at those entries. Is we're going to go through and look at the square footage.
Okay.
And I think that's mainly just to double check that you didn't click best logo, but you're actually doing brochure.
Exactly.
So it's just kind of a double check to make sure that the categories are in the right, all going together.
So it'll allow you to save the changes, ignore changes, delete entry, or preview that entry so you can see them as you're working forward. Okay? So as you're going along, you can go through and you can double check that you have everything correct before you actually submit and save. Once it gets submitted and saved, it'll go through. Now, once you get your email back with your confirmation, if something is incorrect, just let us know. we'll change it. It's not a problem because we have the ability to then make adjustments to those entries. So we have double, as we call them, it's like the State Farm, the discount double check. We have entry double check. So that's how you would submit an entry. And by the way, and when we clicked into this is for best logo, it did come up at the very top with just what the requirements are for that category. The completed entry online, the marketing statement, and then the image requirements based on that category. For instance, this one is for logo, so it asks for a color, logo, the logo in black and white, and various examples of use, brochure, signage, or letterhead. So that's just another place that you'll be able to find those requirements as you're going along. Any questions so far? Pretty good? Okay. Good. All right. So that just takes you through. So we're going to move out of that. We'll go back out. And as you'll see right here, you'll see that your entry number has already been generated. It's a 4-digit number. So you'll see that when you receive the entry confirmation back by email, those numbers will correspond with just those numbers as you've seen on the site. And you can always log back in just to double check all of your entries into the Builder Fusion.
And then just also, because we didn't go complete the whole process, when you go through that process, you'll hit a save, and then you can go back, and when you submit it, it'll ask you for your credit card payment for, in this case, the $50 for this entry. So but you can go through, if you have multiple entries, it'll tally them all up at the end, and it'll say here's your lump sum payment for all your marketing categories. And then you just put your credit card in. There is a space that if your company does want to send a check, there's a box that says, we'll be sending a check, and then when we get that, it'll be confirmed, and then you'll get that information back.
Just to let everyone know, if you are going to be sending a check and the check is not received by the date of February 1st, your entries will be held and will not be judged. All money must be received by February 1st in order for us to judge the categories.
To the BIA.
To the BIA,
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
All
monies go to the BIA, to Barbara.
Yeah, and I would highly encourage the credit card if you can, just because then you can cross it off your list and you're done. But we will accept checks, so just so you know that.
Absolutely. Okay, so any questions on this system so far? Okay, then what we'll do is we're going to jump out of here, and I'll go through what we call the confirmation. So, we talked about this is how it will also look. If you go to the other screen, you'll see that you'll get the list. So you can click on the different categories as you see here, where it has logo, brochure, and so forth. And that's the other way to log in to create those applications. It looks very similar when you go into the professional achievement. So once you've submitted that, as Barbara said, you're going to see a nice final tally so you can make your payment. It'll look something similar to something like this. This is just an example so that you guys can see that. So it might look something like you're submitting for logo, for Lone Pine, advertising, website, and so forth. Now, when you get your email back, you're going to receive a checklist of all those categories back to you. So for instance, you're going to see that you submitted an entry for category 1, which is logo design. So the entry number is going to be, the first digit is 01, which is a category number, and then it's your 4-digit serial number, 6961. It's going to be in the logo category, and the name of the entry is Lone Pine. That's the project name. And it's going to tell you that your requirements are your forms and your images, but you do not need any plans. So this is just a nice way of keeping everything nice and neat. So you can remember and do a checklist for it. And it comes in an Excel document, so you can manipulate it, save it, do whatever you need, and it will be there for your help. And it also just reminds you, this is where we'll see the plan names. So for instance, in this one, we have interiors. We have 2 different projects with 2 different plans. So we want to make sure that we just keep that all straight. This is the entry. This is actually the confirmation email and what it'll look like when you receive it. Thank you for your entries. Below is a list of your entries with your entry numbers provided. Please prepare your entry materials and submit no later than January 31st. And what you'll be receiving here is you'll be receiving a link to join a Dropbox. Dropbox is a file sharing service online. We've been using it now for a number of different awards programs, and it seems to be the most stable and favored. And so what we will do is we will send you an invitation to join this shared Dropbox, which is going to house only your entries. So it's going to be specific to you, to that person who's submitted the entry submittal. Okay? On the bottom of the email, you'll see that the forms are attached in Word for you. They'll all be all the forms needed for those entries. Please make sure that you follow the naming files information here and how they should be named, the category number, the entry number, and the sequence number. For instance, for that first category for logo, the entry naming should be 01-6961 underscore, and then that would be the first JPEG that you would be showing. You'll save your entry form and your statement just the same way. Remember, all digital images should be saved at 300 DPI at approximately 1800 by 1200. We get a lot of questions. Is it 1800 by 1200? Is that like steadfast? It's approximate. What we're looking for is stay within that range. If it's a little bit smaller, that's fine. If it's a little bit higher, but please don't send us 7500 by 6000 pixel photos. They're just too big. We'll have to size them down. They're just way too large. And you'll get those from your photographers because that's just it. They're for print. There's a question.
More of a statement. I'm the image wrangler, so this could be helpful to you. A lot of times people will send in their stuff, and after the number of the image, there'll be a big description. If you want to put living room, kitchen, that's fine. But if you're the person having to type all those things in, if it doesn't come from the photographer that way or whatever, don't worry about naming each photo. The judges won't necessarily see that. But what we do recommend is when you're numbering them, number them as if you're walking through the house. Just kind of close your eyes. How do I walk through this? How do I walk through this home? And we kind of look at it as, living room, family room, dining room, kitchen, and then any auxiliary images to ending with master bedroom, a master bath, that kind of thing. And there's no right or wrong to it, but it just is kind of how they flow as you go through a house. So.
That's a very good point. If you number it as you're walking through a natural progression, it helps for the judges, because what happens is if
they're looking at a floor plan.
They're looking at a floor plan. If the first image is that master bathroom, there's a disconnect, and then we have to go back and remaneuver it, because we try to keep everything standardized as we're moving forward through the judging, so that the judges have a semblance of order.
And as you're reading the marketing statement, if they said you walk into this grand living room and then the master bedroom comes up, so it
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Floor plan should be saved, can be color or black and white, and should be saved as a PDF, and should be numbered in the same thing. This is going back to the images. JPEG only, please. No TIFFs, no PNGs, none of the other formats. JPEGs are the standard, and that's what they should.
No
be
PDFs for images.
Yes, that would be good too. Convert them. Any questions at any time? Our information is at the bottom. Call us. Let us know. So this is what your Dropbox is going to look like when you receive that invitation. We will go ahead and create a folder for every one of your entries, again naming it with what the entry should be, so that you know where those entries should fall into, and it keeps everything nice and neatly. We also will include the checklist for those entries, so you can go back and refer to those. And the checklist will also be in the email, so it'll be in multiple places, so you never need to worry where to find it. Now it's assembly time. Now you've got all that done. You've done that. It's like before Christmas, you have all of your entry numbers and everybody's happy, and now you have some time to breathe, call your photographer, gather all your pieces and parts. So you're going to be at this point trying to gather your materials, naming them, and dropping them into that Dropbox folder. Here's one big tip. We had a bad experience with a nationals entry. You never want to put your actual original files into the Dropbox. The Dropbox is a shared file. We'll pull those out and pull those down, and what happens is they no longer live there. So we've claimed your materials. Now we have them. If something happened, God knows what, computers are strange beings. If we somehow lose that photography, or something happens, we don't have those any longer. So what we suggest is keep all of your entries on your computer, your backup drive, wherever you're going to house them, and copy and paste them into the Dropbox. That way, if we call up and go, oh, you know what? We're missing that floor plan for your Lone Pine Plan 5. Do you have it? No, I put it in the Dropbox. Okay, well, we're not seeing it. It's not appearing. Can you resend it? You will then have that copy right there. And you can just go, oh, yeah, no problem. I'll just drop it back into the shared file. Not a problem at all. So that shared file, when you open it up, on our end, when we open it up, we should be seeing the same elements. Okay? So, tips on entries. What we like to say is plan ahead. Definitely give yourself 3 to 4 weeks before the entry deadline to start putting your pieces and parts together. Make sure you've secured your photography now. The market is doing much better than it has in the past years. The photographers are quite busy. So if you know you have new models that need to be shot, I would definitely get on the phone with those photographers and get them booked, especially with the holidays coming online. If they have any questions regarding what needs to be shot or rooms, please have them call us. A majority of the photographers that are in this market are very familiar with us and us with them. And if you have a question about a photographer recommendation, we do have a recommended photographers list if you need it, in case for some reason your favorite photographer is just booked. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Make sure you have all of your photos, your floor plan, and your marketing statement. We definitely like to say is have somebody come in and stand over your shoulder and do a cross check with you and just say, hey, just go down this with me. I've looked at it 27 billion times and I just don't see it. It never fails. You know, you look at it and then you find something else different. Marketing statements, we like to say this, the objective of a marketing statement is to share the information about the project that you can't see in the images. Okay, it's the behind the music. Tell me something I don't know about this project and why it's worthy. So we're going to go over some good examples of marketing statements coming up. Make sure you
remember they're shared with peers, not with consumers.
Exactly. That's a very good point. When you're writing your marketing statements, this isn't a brochure or an e-blast that's going to go out to a consumer. It's going to one of your peers. And so you really don't need to be flowery and verbose. You need to be very straightforward. You know, the rhyme and the reason to why we did this logo and the way we were doing it is the following. And they will understand that, and they will be very grateful in the judging for being that direct. Bullet points work very well, and we'll look at those later. Photography, get the best for your budget. Ask entrants who they like best, and give us a call if you have any questions. So the entry form, this is the one that I was referring to earlier. This is the official entry form. Note, please complete the team members as applicable to your entry submission. So if you're entering for best logo, I don't need to know who your architect is and your landscape planner and your interior merchandiser. I love them, I'd like to know their names, but I don't need them. And so that's inevitably the number one question we get on every one of the awards programs is, how much do I need to complete? We need to know the community name. We need to know the plan name, if there is a plan name. If it's a logo, obviously we don't. We need to know where it's located, because that gives us perspective on the type of market. Who you are, the company submitting. And then the builder name, the marketing director, very important. Please give us the marketing director's name, we like to give credit. And then the associate name of who it needs to be credited to. So that's the entry form. The marketing statement. The amount of time that I've been cursed over the past 25 years over a marketing statement. I should be dead 20 times over. So, sales information, just a reminder, this is January 1st through December 1st of 2013. The entry requirements for this awards program say that the project must be open for sale or release between January 1st and December 31st. Now, if it opened up in 2012, but it was open through January 5th of 2013 and then it sold out, it is still eligible because it had an open sales campaign during the period. Now, if it just opened up on December 28th and it's still eligible, okay, does that make sense? All right. So we need the category number, where it's located, and the primary target market. If it's 25 to 35-year-old single females who have, 2 kids, tell us that. That's the kind of information we're looking for. The sales price of the plan or project is good to know. Square footage, the date it opened for sales, just so we can get an idea of how old it is or how new it is. And then the website address. Everybody goes, oh, the website address has the name of the community in it. Oh my gosh, that's, we're not supposed to have the name on there. Don't worry. The judges never see these statements. The website address is there as a backup for us in case something happens and the judge has another question. They say, we need to go see the plans, or we need to go see something, we need to check something out. That's just our fallback for us as the judging facilitators to make sure we have that there. All right? Now, you have 150 words to talk about that entry, your unusual constraints, your opportunities. Do not labor over this, folks. Literally, just sit there and go, okay, if I was sitting in a room, what do I need to tell these people? Okay? And you will not win nor lose over the marketing statement. How it's presented to the judges is we show the images to the judges on screen, and it is read to them. So don't freak out, don't do the word counts, just try to stay within a reasonable amount. I've had people call me at 11 o'clock at night, and they're like, these marketing statements are gonna kill me. That is not their intention. They're really just to give information. Very important. The one thing that will kill you is if you have multiple entries. Let's say you're going for Community of the Year and you run the whole gamut. You're gonna go from logo all the way down to architectural design. You give me one boilerplate statement that says, Lone Pine is the prettiest place to live and it's located in Tracy, California, and it's for single moms and it's great. And that's for every entry. The judges are like, next, and they do, that will kill you. So I would say definitely make sure you write it towards the category, okay? So here, for instance, coincidentally from this award show last year, is a very good example of a logo entry. So they gave us their logo in black and white and in color, and they talked about it. The community is located in Sunnyvale, the hub of Silicon Valley. The latitude is indeed 37 degrees north to be exact. Therefore, we want a logo to touch upon the prime location as well as the culture and innovation and technology that radiates through the city and its surroundings. The logo, like its residents, is smart, sleek, and inventive. Short, sweet, gives us the reason why they named it what they named it. We know where it's located, we know its target market. Done. Social media campaign. This is one of those ones that needs to be a little bit more thorough because obviously you're talking about branding and a thought. They went through and talked about why they wanted to use it as a strategy, how they had traditional marketing methods, but they wanted to include their social media profiles on all advertisements. They talked very well about the fact that they're involved in multiple platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, blog, YouTube, LinkedIn, and many more. In social media now, that I will say, coming off the Nationals judging, they are looking for a cross-platform profile. You know, if you just have a Facebook page now, that's probably not going to do it. So you definitely want to touch on where else you're participating, including hows. They talk about their strategy, their emphasis, and where it's going to, especially if it's going not only to new home buyers, but it's also going out to realtors, homeowners, and so forth. So this is just a sample of the images that they provided. We had the Facebook page, we had the Twitter, we had, I believe this is their Pinterest, their LinkedIn, their YouTube, and their blog. So it built on the story of what they were doing. So if you go back and think about it, they really talked about everything that they were showing us on screen, but they talked about why they did what they did. It's very important, especially in the advertising categories, to talk about that. You know, what are we trying to achieve with where we're spending our money or our time? So that's just, I think, is a pretty darn good example of a very thoughtful social media promotion. This image just gives you an idea of what it looks like to be in the judging. This is exactly what the judges see when they're looking at an architectural design category. As you'll see here, we have 8 images that are, for every entry, it has the ability to have 8 images. And this is a good example of walking through the model, front door, walking into the living room, and so forth. As you'll see, every entry is only noted to the judges by their entry number and their sequence number. As we go through, this is the thumbnail that they'll see. Shane will then click on the thumbnail and then blow up to full screen, and then we start reading the marketing statement. So what we like to show is this overview gives them kind of an idea of, okay, that's that plan. That's what it looked like. That's the overall look. So we're talking about here in this statement. This is a statement for a sales center, talking about just a good submittal of why they did what they did for their sales office. They developed a welcoming, refined environment. They are greeted by a glass wall. They have interactive touch screens. They have good signage. And it basically walks you through, in this statement, exactly what you're going to see in these slides. So, also remember, this is a big key, don't forget to number those floor plans. When you send those floor plans in, if you can place the entry number at the bottom for us, embed it on the PDF, that really helps. Because after a while, you have so many floor plans, it gets a little crazy. So this is the entry information for that statement. It's the sales office that just walked you through and showed you what their intention was. So I would say that's a fairly high example of a good sales office entry, giving us the view of the entry and a multiple entry of closing office, overall statement, and topo table. So now it's time to submit. You have your materials together, you've gathered your photography, you filled out your forms, and you've got your floor plans together. So now it's time. So what you'll do is you're going to go into your Dropbox and start adding your information. That's again a time when you're going to want to have somebody come in and go, okay, I just want to double check. I'm going to read these off. You tell me. You see an entry form for this one, this one, this one, and however you want to do it. Just make sure that it's all there. And once you're completed with putting all of your materials inside of your Dropbox, that's when you're going to want to email back to me. Hi, I'm done. Everything's ready. Everything's there. Can you double check it for me? And we'll go through. We'll jump in there. We'll double check that we have everything, and we'll email you back and say you're good to go. Or, hey, you know what? I'm really not seeing that floor plan for that Long Pine Plan 5. And that just gives us that one more minute to submit it over. If we have any questions of you, please never fear. We'll pick up the phone and call you back. Hey, Terry, you know what? I'm really confused on this one entry. Is this or that, or a question or so forth? We'll ask you, or we'll say, hey, you know what? We really think you need to submit one more image because we're really not seeing enough in this entry. So can you tell the story? Is there availability of that? It's a two-way street. The other thing is, no entry is ever disqualified in any of our awards programs. We will do our very, very best to contact you to get the materials. And we will, if we have to, if for some reason somebody's made a mistake and they've put their project name in the marketing statement, we will just read over it. For instance, if it would say, Lone Pine is located in Tracy, California, we'll edit it and we'll say, this community is located in Tracy, California, and we'll kind of help you through it. However, that means that's putting a lot of onus back on us. We try our very best, but we really ask for you to be as good as you can on that. It's keeping the honest guys honest and helping with the judges. The judges are all selected from outside of this market. They are your peers. They represent different disciplines. You'll have a builder, you'll have an architect, you'll have an advertising firm, and more than likely you'll have an interior merchandiser. They all come. They do not have any connection to any of the entrants who are submitted into the community or the program. They come with the knowledge that they're here just as if they were going to be judged in their own local market. They come with a clean heart and pure intention to come and do the best job. And for this judging, they'll be here for 4 days. So they're taking their time to give you guys the best of their attention and discipline. So it's a big ask, but I've never had a judge walk away and say that wasn't the greatest experience, and I learned a whole heck of a lot. And it was great because we go on that product tour and we get to see a lot of product. So that's that. Any questions for us? Does it seem like it's pretty easy? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Yeah. The reason we went away from uploading up into Builder Fusion was last year we had a lot of entrants who were saying, it takes a lot of time. You have to upload one image at a time. Sometimes it wasn't loading, or it got overloaded because the system, everybody went on at 5 o'clock at the very same time to upload their materials.
On the last day.
On the very last day. Well, and it's interesting. I mean, that's how kids submit their homework now, so they have the same challenges.
Yeah.
So by removing that element and having the Dropbox, it just seems to bypass that system. The reason we use Dropbox rather than use Send It or some of the others is the ability to have the files all there at one time. Sometimes you send it, you get one at a time, and the downloading is more challenging. It seems to be the most stable so far. So if you don't have a Dropbox account, it's free. I highly recommend just downloading it and having it there, because if you have it on your computer, then it's very easy to upload it. Some folks are like, no, I'll just click the link and I'll just load it there. Okay, you can totally do that. However, I think you're going to find that this is a benefit for you. And
entries that are submitted, does the builder have to be affiliated or associated as a member of BIA, or is there a stipulation? The ruling is, in this instance, that the entrant must be a member of the BIA of the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. The builder may not be a member, but they will not be recognized during the awards program.
With the exception of architecture category.
With the exception of architecture.
Oh, okay.
So if it's architecture, then the builder needs to be a member.
Got it.
And Community of the Year, obviously.
And Community of the Year, right. And was that interior also?
I think interior was
architecture.
Yeah, it was just architecture because that was actually a plan. Obviously, for the professional achievement categories, the company of this person being submitted must be a member of the BIA.
Right.
And so, but we also ask that we do ask the question whether or not you're an SMC member. That has no bearing in the judging. It's just basically us understanding who's participating. It's a demographics. And of course, we'd like everyone to be members of the SMC because it's the greatest organization ever.
Lisa, are you going to make this available?
Yes, this will be available online. We YouTube it, and then we'll have a link on the BIA website, and then we'll also be able to post it on the SMC website and the Facebook pages.
And then I just had a statement for a clarification for the Professional Achievement Awards. Last year, we had somebody come in who thought they were representing their company, and so was taken very off guard when they started asking this particular entrant about themselves and what they did. They said, "Oh, I thought I was representing, my company as a supplier or a sub." These are Professional Achievement Awards. They're individual awards, and so when someone nominates you, or if you nominate a sub and supplier or a contractor, then say, this is you as the person. You or your team have done a great job, and we're recognizing you. So it's, even though you're a part of the company, it's an individual, personal thing. So it made a big difference on how he came in this case. He thought he had all this company information, but then they started asking him questions about himself and what he did. It was he was surprised and he didn't quite know what to do. So it was just tough. So just make sure that for the individual, for the Professional Achievement Awards, that just remind your folks, or if you're doing submittals, it's the person or team themselves.
Right, and so just to go back on how that's going to work for the Professional Achievement, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Number one, we like to say, if you're going to submit someone, a salesperson, a customer service representative, or a community superintendent, you may want to show them the entry that you've sent in. Okay, we've had that happen in 2 different judgings where the person is asking them questions based on the submittal that was submitted, and they're totally taken off guard. So it's a good idea to go, "Hey Bill, I just want to let you know I submitted you for superintendent. I want you to see what we wrote about you." Usually they'll be like, "Wow, that's really great. Thank you so much." Or, "Hey, you know what? That's actually a little bit wrong. You might want to edit that because it was not 37 homes. It was actually 39." Whatever it is, so that they have, gives them a heads up. The other thing that you're going to be receiving when you receive the email back is you will also be receiving their interview time. Interviews will be timed every 15 minutes throughout that day, that Monday. They are scheduled based on the entries as they come through the door. So just so that you know, we don't do, it won't be like a community superintendent and then a sales rookie and then a salesperson. We try to keep all the superintendents together, then all the rookies, so that the judges have some semblance. So when they're talking to a group of people, they're staying within their category.
We try to give them about 10 minutes after we get through all those people to kind of talk about what they just saw and ballot up. So it's not the end of the day. Who did I see at 9 o'clock this morning?
Right.
And that's why we clump them together.
Right. So they'll be receiving that email about February 1st. So they'll have it about 10 days prior to their interview day. All right, so what you'll want to do is make sure that person has that day in their calendar. We had in Denver, we actually had a customer service person who was supposed to schedule for an interview. He missed it. It was his one day off. He hadn't had a day off in 10 days, and he forgot. And so it was not a problem. The judges read his statement, determined whether or not they felt he was worthy of representation, and he actually did final. So if something happens, if you have a salesperson who's writing a contract that day, hey, you know what? Go get the sale. Don't even worry about it. We'll figure it out. We've actually even had it where we've called them and done a phone interview.
That's what I was going to say. We've had some people that just can't
Right.
do it for whatever reason. So
Absolutely.
we do phone interviews. And worst comes to worst, you have your marketing statement on that person. And
Absolutely.
sometimes that's so impressive that it helps for qualifying even if they're not there on site.
Absolutely. But again, if they have the ability to come in and interview, it really is meaningful. Yeah.
Where will the interviews be held?
We will be doing the interviews at Mason McDuffie's offices.
Okay.
So we felt that was centrally located and had enough space
Yeah. In San Ramon. Yeah.
in San Ramon. And if for some reason you do know ahead of time that person's not going to be able to be there, could you please let us know? Because then what we can do is we can adjust our time period. We'd rather not be sitting there for 15 minutes with dead air. We'll just slide everybody up or down so that we can make sure that the judges get done. It's a long day. We go from about 9 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. And the judges, we're trying to not wear them out because then we have to go do the marketing categories the next couple days. Any other questions?
If a purchasing agent also handles the options, can that person be entered in both categories?
They can. They can absolutely, because it's two different, and they may do better in one or the other, or they may final in both. We've actually had that happen. Same instance, if you have a community where you want to submit in multiple categories, we absolutely say yes, go for it. You never know. Judges will see things in one category that they don't see in another.
We had salespeople who were individual in one project and were on a team in another project, and they came in.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We actually have had, because of communities, because of the long sales period, we've had a sales team that had started out in the beginning of the year who sold out, and then they moved on to a different team, and they actually competed against each other. So that's totally, absolutely acceptable. And what we like to say is, if you're going to write those statements about those folks, definitely take a minute to review them. You know, they don't need to be extraordinarily verbose. We need to have a good story, but definitely have them read through it. You know, a second set of eyes, especially if it's that person, helps. And the judges love those categories. They love the guys who are out in the field. They find them. You know, it's the heart of the whole project. Oh, and if you're going to have Community of the Year entries, please note you're going to want to tell those folks who are on site that the judges will be out in the field on the 12th and 13th coming to the communities. We've had over the years a number of disconnects where you show up with a van full of people. We kind of look like a merry band of wanderers. And we walk in the door and the sales agent is like, hi. And we're like, yeah, we're here from the Excellence Awards and MAME Awards. Oh, no one told us you were coming. Oh, well, okay, could you give us, I'm writing a contract right now. I can't do that. And just so you know, we are ever respectful. No, please go take care of your client. We will self-guide ourselves through this. We don't need any help. We'll go on our merry way. Or they'll let us know, hey, we're going to have somebody coming in. We really need you guys to just kind of motor, because we're going to be, doing a presentation. The other thing is, we do start early in the morning and we do end late, so we may have to call that agent and say, hey, listen, we're starting in Tracy today and we have to make our way all the way to Gilroy, so can we come to your community at 8 in the morning? And they'll say, yeah, we'll do.
You said the 12th and 13th, that's February, isn't it?
Yes, please, yes. 12th and 13th of February.
And you'll let us know what day you plan on being there?
We try our best. It's based on those entries. We'll try to give you like a heads up, like, hey, we're going to go south. We're going to be in the San Jose area, the Silicon Valley on the Wednesday, and then we're going to head east on, the next day, just so they have an idea. But it's always a good idea just to give that, those agents a heads up. We actually had a case in Southern California where we went out. We were out touring. It was 106 degrees. We had 18 communities to go to in that day. We pull up to our 10th of the day, we walk up to the sales office, door was locked. They had forgot to tell the agent went to lunch, locked the door, and we were there. Luckily, we ran down, found the community superintendent. He ran down, oh my gosh.
Who knew we were supposed to be there?
Who knew we were supposed to be there. He was aware. Came, opened all the doors, he saved the day, and they actually won Community of the Year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's that important, folks, because it's not that they need to be there to win, we just need to be able to get through because we're moving. It's like everything else.
One of the other new things in having the same judges that are judging the marketing and judging the people that we found, it was really interesting that we found in Denver this year, was we have the interview day and then do those community tours, and then they're seeing some of these people that they interviewed, and that people come out and was like, you guys are really out doing this, and it was a great back and forth between the sales agents and the judges seeing them in the native, if you will, so we're in the wild.
In the wild. Seeing them in the wild. Pretty much wraps it up.
Do the Professional Achievement Awards need a photograph?
Yes, every professional achievement category, please, we need a photograph. It would be, thank you, Terry, for asking that question. It would be very great if it's not their tiny little photograph from their LinkedIn or their Facebook profile.
Or their selfie.
Or their selfie from their cell phone. I mean, literally, we all have a cell phone. Did you know 90% of all photos are taken by an iPhone now? It's pretty crazy. These are incredible devices. Take them somewhere, have them, dress up one day, bring them into the office, get them on a pretty decent background, not too bland, and take their photo of them. It's going to be shown during the event on a 12-foot screen. Let's not pixelate out their face.
Yeah.
I mean, really, let's give them their due. Yeah, thank you for asking that question. You know, they don't, if they have a glamour shot, all the better. It won't help or hurt them in their entry, but it sure will look much nicer on the awards.
It's not so much for the entry, it's more for the show.
Yeah, because it'd be a shame if somebody won and like,
Right.
no picture. You know,
Well,
so.
and the past what we've had to do is, just use the company logo. And I'm sure that, Sally Smith from, that home builder would rather see her photo. Oh, same thing for sales volume. For the volume awards, we would like to have their photos. So it would be great if they have those.
I've collected most of them over the years too. I keep them all. So your picture may be 5 years old, but at least I have it.
I think we have,
Yeah.
I think in this awards program, we have one, I think we've been using it for almost 10 years.
Yeah. It's like,
And
you don't look
it's
like
actually
that.
a scan from a slide.
Yeah.
That's how funny
It's
it
like,
is.
oh, you don't look like that anymore.
Okay, that's all we have.
That'd be a good thing.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have.
Thank you.